Good morning, Black America. Grand Rising, beloved. I'm Crypto Stock Markets, and here's what's moving the market today. I want to talk to you today like we're building for a moment because the way Bitcoin is being covered right now is missing the real story. Yes, price is down. Yes, the market has been under pressure, but what's happening underneath the surface matters way more than what you're seeing on the chart. Let's start with the sell-off. Bitcoin extended its drop as macro pressure stayed tight. Interest rates are still higher for longer. Liquidity is missing in action. Risk assets across the board are feeling it. Stocks, crypto, everything. Inside crypto, the move got exaggerated because of leverage. Too many people were long with borrowed money. When price dipped, liquidations kicked in. Forced selling followed. That kind of selling isn't emotional, it's mechanical. That's important to understand. When leverage unwinds, price moves faster than fundamentals change. So this drop isn't about Bitcoin failing, it's about positions getting flushed. Now here's where the story gets interesting. At the same time Bitcoin was selling off, something happened in Washington that didn't get nearly enough attention. A U.S. congressman asked a direct question to the U.S. Department of the Treasury. He asked whether the U.S. government could buy Bitcoin, and if you watch that exchange, you can feel the discomfort immediately. Not hostility, just the hesitation. The Treasury Secretary talked around the question, frameworks, authority, and process, but he never said no. And then came the part that should have been front page news. It was acknowledged that the U.S. government has seized roughly 500 million worth of crypto over the years. And today, that same crypto is worth around $500 billion. Let that sink in. The government did not buy Bitcoin. The government seized Bitcoin. And by simply holding it, that position multiplied 1,000 times. That already happened. So when people say the government will never touch Bitcoin, understand how wild that statement is. They already have, and they're still sitting on it. That creates a contradiction. On one hand, officials says there's uncertainty and no framework. On the other hand, the U.S. government is quietly sitting on what may be one of the most profitable asset positions in modern history. That's not ignorance, that's unfinished business. Now let me drop a gem for you, because this is where most coverage completely falls short. People don't really know who actually holds the most Bitcoin in the world. So let's talk real numbers. Right now, the largest known government holder of Bitcoin is the United States. The US holds roughly 200,000 Bitcoin, not because it wanted to, not because it planned to, but because once it had it, it didn't rush to dump it. That matters. Second is China. Yes, the same China that banned crypto trading domestically. China holds roughly 190,000 Bitcoin, mostly from the Plus token scam seizures years ago. Publicly, China says crypto is a threat. Privately, China kept the Bitcoin. That contradiction is real. Third is the United Kingdom. The UK holds around 60,000 Bitcoin, largely from law enforcement seizure tied to money laundering cases. Now pause with me for a second. Three major world powers all holding massive Bitcoin positions. None of them rushing to sell. If Bitcoin was fake, useless, or truly dangerous, those coins would have been dumped immediately. They weren't though. They were studied, they were held, they were allowed to appreciate. So when a congressman asks whether the US government can buy Bitcoin and the answer feels awkward, it's not because Bitcoin is irrelevant, it's because the US already holds more Bitcoin than anyone else without a formal policy. That's not weakness. That's a system being forced to catch up to reality. Now zoom out one more time. While crypto and gold have both been under pressure, money hasn't disappeared. It's been parking in short-term U.S. treasuries. 3 month, 6 month, 1 year. That's not conviction. That's caution. And parked money doesn't stay parked forever. This is where most people get chopped up. They get all screwed up with this. They react to price instead of structure. They panic instead of asking why. They confuse volatility with failure. Long-term players think differently. They understand leverage flushes. They understand policy lag. They understand that when government starts speaking carefully, something is already changing underneath. Let me be clear with you, family. This does not mean price can't go lower in the short term. It does not mean volatility is finished, and it does not mean discipline goes out the window. What it does mean is this: This sell-off is macro and mechanical, and the fact that governments are already sitting on hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin tells you this asset is already embedded in the system, whether they admit it or not. Price is what you see, structure is what you get. And structurally, Bitcoin just forced the Treasury to acknowledge the quiet part out loud. That's today's market breakdown. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay building. I'm Crypto Stock Markets, keeping you 2 steps ahead of the market on Good Morning Black America.